This is Hell's Half Acre in Idaho. Hello friends, family, total strangers. Today's video is going to be on my biggest mistakes on the PCT. I made a few. And yeah, before we get into that, I'll just say I've been at a family gathering the last couple weeks, so sorry I haven't been able to get out any videos, but yeah, just left Pocatello, left the family behind and back on the road. I'm currently at Hell's Half Acre, which is a little rest area off the freeway in between Pocatello and Idaho Falls. And yeah, just thought I'd stop here and shoot a video. So here I am, and here it goes. So let's get right into my big errors I made for my ill-fated PCT hike. So, first mistake, lip balm. I cannot stress how important it is when hiking through that desert section of California to have some sort of SPF lip balm. You know, I was all ready for the sun. I had a sun umbrella. I had a shirt that I could throw the hood up over, and long sleeve and long pants, and I was all ready for sun protection. I had a hat to try to cover most of my face, but I didn't have any lip balm, and my lips got destroyed. So absolutely annihilated. So yeah, bring some chapstick with SPF, with sun protection, because yeah, they just got destroyed. So I ended up buying some medicated lip balm in Warner Springs about 8 days in, but by that point it was too late. The damage was done. I had a big crack down the middle of my lip, which you've seen in some of the PCT footage, and yeah, it was terrible and painful. And yeah, so bring lip balm. Mistake number 2, I've got a little list to help me out here. My pack size. I bought a 26 liter pack. The idea thinking, and with it this close to me, you might not be able to tell how small it is, but this is a very small pack, 26 liters. And I made it work, but 26 liters is too small. My thinking behind it was that if I had a smaller pack, it would cause me to bring less stuff. Like it would help me. I wanted to be lightweight, and having a smaller pack would do that. And although I think that is a good strategy, I think 26 liters is just too small. I think 36 liters for a through hike. If I was just going to be on a 3-day backpack, maybe, but for a through hike, considering all the food you have to carry, everything else, 26 liters just, even with my poncho tarp and all the things that I had, my torso pad, I just had a torso length sleeping pad. Even with all that, 26 liters wasn't really enough. I ended up strapping a plastic bag off the back and stuffing like my jacket and a bunch of a pillow and just a bunch of other stuff in there. And yeah, so 26 liters, not big enough. Item number 3, sleeping bag. This is an Enlightened Equipment 40-degree sleeping bag. Two things. First of all, 40-degree bag is not warm enough for the PCT, especially if you're starting in March. But I think no matter when you're starting, 40 degrees isn't warm enough. Second of all, Enlightened Equipment, this isn't really a 40-degree bag. It's more like a 50-degree bag for comfort. So do some research on the temperature ratings of your sleeping bag. Make sure that it's a comfort rating. Because my idea was that with a 40-degree bag, I could use a bivy sack which I did use, which helped me got some extra heat, extra temperature rating, and using my foam pad inside the bivy sack, I thought that might be able to add some heat for the times that it got cold. What I wasn't expecting is for to need this pad and the bivy sack right off the bat in the desert. I mean, we're not even in the Sierras and the high mountains yet. We're talking desert, and I am having to, low elevation desert, and I'm having to use this sleeping pad to not freeze to death as a blanket. So yeah, I have since corrected that. I have bought a 15-degree quilt from Katabatic, and from all my research on Katabatic equipment, Katabatic gear, their temperature ratings are actual comfort ratings. So we'll see how that works out in the future, the Katabatic sleeping bag. And I will use this sleeping bag for some trips, I think, for when it's not going to be when I'm not going to the high mountains and it's not going to be getting cold overnight. So that sleeping bag has some applications, but don't bring a 40-degree sleeping bag on the PCT. Bring something that's warmer than you think you need. Because it was terrible. It was miserable. Mistake number 4 was bringing a Polycro ground sheet. These are great for lots of situations. A famous hiker, Jupiter Hikes, used one of these his entire length of the Eastern Continental Trail, almost 5,000 miles. And for East Coast backpacking and soil, these things, I guess, are great. If you're going to use this as your ground sheet in California through the desert, through the sand, soil, rock, it's just going to get shredded. It ripped into 3 different pieces like on the 3rd or 4th day. And I was using this as my main thing I slept on because I didn't have a tent. I had a shaped tarp with a bivy sack, and then this was the floor. And yes, this does not cut it. It's really light. It's only 1.5 ounces, and it'll work for a lot of situations, but the desert in California, no. And Jupiter had the exact same experience. He took one of these. I found out after, of course. He took one of these on the PCT, and it just got shredded within a week. So luckily, one of the people I was hiking with had a double-sized piece of Tyvek, and so they cut off half of it and gave it to me because she didn't realize she didn't need the whole thing. So it worked out great for both of us. And Tyvek, although heavier, it was 4 or 5 ounces. That's worth the extra weight to have a durable floor through that California desert. So yeah, that's that. Next item of business. I brought too much stuff. I think that's part of my problem with that. So I brought too much stuff for pack size, but also in general, I just brought a bunch of stuff that I didn't necessarily use that much. And if you have a warmer sleeping bag, you can cut out some weight from other things. For instance, I would have to sleep in my puffy jacket, and because of that, I have a hard time sleeping with just one inflatable camp pillow. So I had an inflatable camp pillow and a 10-ounce like packable foam pillow. But so I had 2 pillows, and if I had a warm enough sleeping bag, I could have just used my puffy jacket in combination with the inflatable pillow and had a comfortable enough pillow. And just a bunch of things like that. So just too much stuff. And I ended up having to have my brother send me a Costco quilt to try to supplement the heat of my sleeping bag. So that's another pound added to my pack. That's another mistake I made, is that Costco quilt. I thought it would add enough warmth, and it weighs about a pound, so that's not too much weight to add. but it really just maybe added 5 degrees. Like folded up inside my sleeping bag, it probably added about 5 degrees of warmth. And for a whole extra pound of weight, yeah, I should have gone another route with that. Maybe even just sending my sleeping bag back and having a warmer sleeping bag sent to me. Yeah, so too much stuff in my pack and Costco Quilt. Not a good solution for adding warmth, in my opinion. Mistake number 6 was trying to keep up with other people, which there's a saying, hike your own hike, and I was, but at the same time, you kind of you get around this group of people, you like hanging out with them, but if they're going faster than your pace, you just got to know when to back off. And I did figure that out about 8 days in, when I was waiting for my package in Warner Springs. Once I was on my own, like, I was really pushing my body. That the day that I went into Warner Springs, like, I was starting to have, I think it was the beginning of Shin Splints. It really hurt, and like, I knew to not hike that day. I knew it, and I was going to take a 0, but I wanted to keep up with my friends, and I hiked, and it ended up hurting me, but I ended up having to wait 2 days, and after that, I recovered well, and I just set my own pace after that. So rather than trying to keep up with people, just find people that are moving at your pace. I love my little group I was hiking with, but yeah, you just got to find people that, I mean, especially as if you're older and you're hiking with a bunch of 20 and 30 year olds, you got to be ready to just let them go, and maybe you'll see them down trail, maybe they'll take some zeros and you'll catch up, but just hike at your own pace and don't push yourself. So I felt like that was a mistake, but I did correct it on trail as I was going. If you're going to vlog a trail, this is where I think I made a big mistake as far as that goes. You need to keep up on editing. You need to assign a portion of the day to just edit video. And if I did it again, I would go back and I would edit my videos. I would edit my videos right after I wake up. So I'd wake up, I'd make my coffee, and while I was drinking my coffee, I would edit. I would take about 30 minutes to an hour to edit video from the day before, because as it was, I didn't set aside any time. And through hiking's a pretty hard venture, all said and done, and you're also hanging out with these people and socializing, and it's just really hard to find time to vlog. So you need to make the time if that's something that you value and something you want to do. If you want to vlog, you need to make sure you take the time to edit every single day, or you're going to get behind. And I actually didn't edit anything until I got off trail. So 16 days. I went 16 days without editing any. I only shot one video, and I just shot it and uploaded it with no footage in it. It was just me talking. So if you want to vlog, definitely set aside some time, whether for you if that's at the night or in the morning, some time to get your editing done. So yeah. Miscalculating the weather. I horribly miscalculated the weather and what the weather would be. When I was watching what the temperatures were in January and February at the start of the trail, it was like, oh great, it's going to be warm by March. Well, it was warmer in January and February than it was in March. It ended up being quite cold. I was all set up for sun protection. I had all this stuff to shield me from the sun and the heat. I was not nearly prepared enough for how cold it was going to be and cold weather. And yeah, my sleeping bag wasn't warm enough. And yeah, so don't do that. Just know, on a trail like the PCT, the weather's unpredictable, and you need to be prepared for hot, you need to be prepared for cold, and maybe a little over-prepared for both. And then you can always adjust as you go on. It's easier to ship stuff away than to get it sent to you. So, yeah. Let's see. We're right near the end here. Right. Not doing a shakedown. I think all said and done, this was my biggest mistake because it would have corrected most of these problems that I had, not doing a shakedown hike. I did a one-night backpack to test my gear. One night is not enough. I would say ideally, if you're going to do something like a through hike, you should plan it at least a year out. And if you do that, if you can take a week or 2 weeks off during the course of your work and do a long hike, 100 miles, 150 miles, 200 miles, there's all these, shorter long trails that aren't from Mexico to Canada. Or you can just do a section of one of these long trails to get you ready, one near you, nearest you, to get you ready for a through hike, because one day is not long enough to break down, shake down your gear, figure out what works and what doesn't. I would say even a weekend, like a few day trip, isn't enough. I think having like a solid week to 2 weeks of straight backpacking is really going to help you dial down your gear, figure out what works, what doesn't, and it's going to make your experience on the trail way better. And you're going to have a way better through hike if you got your gear properly shook down and ready to go. And I'd say the last, and I should say, all said and done, that section of the PCT that I did, that 150 miles, ended up being a great shakedown hike. So I'm looking at it that way. I'm looking at it as it was a great shakedown hike. Now I have a better idea of what I'm going to need for a long trail. And I definitely do plan on doing the PCT. I'm not going to do it this year. That bird has flown. I am going to try to do something this year, like a shorter hike or two. But yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, it was a good shakedown for me, my 150 mile section. So I now have a much better idea, and I'll be ready for the next trail, much more so. And I'm not going to buy a new pack. I've adjusted. I've been able to attach my sleeping pad or my foam pad to the outside of my pack, which opens up a lot of room inside the pack. And yeah, I think my 26 liter pack will work, and I'm just going to run with it. I've just had to improvise to free up a little more space in the inside. But ideally, I would have a 36 liter pack. I think 36 liters is a good target size for your pack for a through hike. My biggest mistake was planning a through hike for 2020, as it turns out. The stupid coronavirus totally derailed me. So I didn't get off the trail because of my sleeping bag or my pack size or any of that. All said and done, I got off the trail because of coronavirus. The Trail Association asked people not to hike. And it took me a while to come to that decision to get off trail, but I did. And it was the right decision. It was the right decision. I got off trail. So, and like I said, I'll try to get back on the trail at some point. Probably next year or the year after. I might try a different trail next year. Just, I'm willing to go wherever the wind blows me. So, but I definitely am into through hiking. This has definitely given me the bug for it, and I'll probably talk about that in a future video. But yeah, let me go ahead and cut you to my footage of the PCT. This is my last day, I think this is my last 2 days on trail that I'm about to show here. So let me cut you that footage.
Doing dishes while through hiking is a little problematic, so one of the ways around that is just pouring hot water right into the packets. Eat right out of the packet, goes in the garbage, you don't have to do any dishes.
This is some pretty awesome trail magic right here. It's the little things you learn to appreciate, just having somewhere to dump your garbage after 5 days. Get a little room in the pack. Well, it is exactly 2 weeks since I started the trail, so this is day 15. I started 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm gonna probably do a 13-mile day today and then camp. I'm getting kind of low on food, but I got enough, I think, and heading to Idlewild, I guess, is my town stop coming up here in about 2 days. So yeah, pretty exciting. I've been thinking more and more, and I'm thinking more and more about getting off trail. You know, the PCTA doesn't want us out here. They've asked everybody to leave, and there's so much to think about. It's such a complicated issue for me. Where am I going to go? I don't have a place to go, really. But more and more, I'm thinking I'm just going to travel back to my van and hit the road and find some little place on a creek to hole up. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I just really don't want to be a party to something that might spread this to these little communities here in California, which are so integral to the PCT. And I think keeping the relationship is also important, besides the fact that I don't want to be part of a group that ends up killing anyone. So I don't know. Practically, it's probably not any better going home, or going back to my van, I should say, just with all the modes of transportation I'm going to have to take to get there. But it's still probably ethically the right thing to do. So I don't know. We'll see. I cowboy camped last night for the first time. It went pretty well, except I did wake up and it was cloud cover this morning. Didn't rain on me though. I did an 18-mile day yesterday. I was just too tired to set up camp, so I just decided to sleep out under the stars. It's pretty nice. A little windy. Approaching civilization. Well, that little guy's holding on for dear life. Somebody wrote in the 150-mile mark. The That might be a little ridiculous. I think counting off every 100 miles. Oh, there it is again in rocks. There it is. I think counting off every 100 miles is enough. I don't think you need to do it every 50 miles. But hey, whatever. To each their own. This might be one of the greatest moments in the history of my life. I am so excited for this burger. I am videoing you right now.
Oh. I thought you were making a picture.
I love doing that. I love taking videos of people when they think you're taking a photo. This was my last camp on the PCT, at least for now. I think I'm somewhere around the 152 mark. Yeah, sad I'm leaving, but it's been an awesome 2 weeks, so. So yeah, I have to say, that burger at the Paradise Valley Cafe, if I had just been driving through and stopped there, it would have been a good burger. It was good. Considering I had just hiked 150 miles and hadn't had like a real meal, like I'd been eating ramen noodles and Knorr pasta sides and oatmeal packets, that was about the best thing I've ever had. That burger and that beer were amazing. Amazing. So, yeah, that was a great adventure, and it ended up being a great shakedown hike, so I have a much better idea of how to plan for the next hike from that, and that's how I'm going to look at it. Yeah, that's my video, so thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thanks a bunch.